Hello folks, my very first video. I'm here at my brand new workshop in Mimbres, New Mexico. I just moved here a couple of months ago. So I've been trying to get some more guitars together for a flea market. So I hear a lot of talk online about fretting and fretboards and so on. All these complicated jigs and miter boxes and all this other stuff. So you can see I have a neck already, and you can also see that I put the fretboard on before I did anything with it. I think that that's easier to do, because if you fret it and then apply the fretboard, you have to make sure that the frets are perfectly square with the neck. So that's kind of hard to do. I mean, I had been building regular acoustic guitars for some time, and it was kind of a complicated process on setting up your neck and then cutting the frets and then getting your neck, your fretboard back on your neck perfect so everything's squared up. Well, I don't think we have to do that on these cigar box guitars. They're pretty simple to start with. So what I did was I set up my neck. I actually cut this the same way you would cut for a through neck guitar. I was looking online. You see a lot of videos about how to build cigar box guitar. So they say you should measure down 5/8 of an inch, and then cut a dish in here for the lid to fit in, which is what I did. This is kind of thin because the lid is a little bit thick. But that's alright, I'm going to make it an electric guitar, so I don't have to worry too much about tone of the box. Although that is important. Some boxes work better than others, and this is just a box I've been dying to work with. It's a Rocky Patel, I think. Yep, Rocky Patel, the Edge Battalion model. So this is what I'm doing. You can see that edge is, that top is kind of thick there. So that's why I cut this thinner, and then when I install it into the box, I'll of course make a block that goes from here to there, and glue that to the neck and glue that to the box. So let's get on with these frets. Like I said, I applied the fretboard, I cut any of my little decorations here, and I happen to use a regular style nut. It's, you can get it made out of bone. I use, I don't know if I have, oh yeah, here it is, here's a piece. I use corian. This is part of my kitchen cabinet, the kitchen counter. They always give you some leftovers for the cutout of the sink, so you have replacements. So this is what I use for my nuts and saddles. This is the same kind of material that you've probably seen another material advertised for nuts and saddles, and it's called Tusk. And this is just about the same kind of material. It's got good tone, it's durable, it scratches easy, but that's not an issue. You cut your notches for your strings and they're not going to move, so there won't be a problem with scratches. So that's why I'm so deep here. And another reason for that is when I string up the guitar, I have enough break over that nut to the tuners that I don't have to use a string hold down. It works out really nice. So no big jigs or fixtures or anything like that. I have a fret saw. I got this from StewMac some time ago. I only use it to cut frets, so it's going to last me a good long time. It's got a depth stop, and I just take a piece of fret wire and put that up to the saw, right, get the teeth right underneath the crown there, and then adjust my stop accordingly. So you can just put it there, and you undo these set screws here, and then the guide slides up and down, and it lets you adjust the depth of cut. So I'm going to adjust that a tiny bit and get these nuts loosened up some more. Let me see what we got here. Oh, I had to loosen it up from the back too. So, we got that all loosened up. I'll take my fret wire and hook the teeth right up underneath the crown and bring my depth stop right down to the tang. And that'll give me a perfect depth every time, which is really nice. You don't have to worry about cutting too deep, or cutting too shallow is okay because you can always go over it, but if you cut too deep and do not cut consistently, it just won't look good. So I have my saw. This is the only thing I use to cut my fret slots with. This is just a block of maple. I had a bunch of scraps laying around, so the scraps always get used for something. And then you get a clamp here. Now I get a little bit bigger one. So we have a clamp here. We'll move that out of the way. This is not necessary, but I kind of just like to square my block up with the front edge of my bench. This is just a little room off my main workshop. I got a brand new workshop here. The layout's kind of weird, so I'm just trying to get used to it, but the bonus was this extra little room here. I can heat with just a tiny space heater. It's really nice. Not that it gets that cold where I am in New Mexico, but it still gets cold enough to want to use a heater. So we're gonna just clamp that block right to the table. Then all you have to do is put your neck up to the block. I'm gonna cut this short one at first. Put your saw against this block. Make sure your saw is right on your pencil line. And then get down to business. And this saw is especially nice so that if I don't want to go the whole distance with my block, I can always take the saw out and go over the slots again. As a matter of fact, once everything gets put on the fretboard, like the fret slots and the fret markers, the fretboard has to be sanded again anyway. So, you know, you're gonna end up probably cleaning them back out before you install your frets. So just go right on down the line here. This is so simple that you can look up and talk away while you're doing this. And I'll just cut a few slots for you. So if I wanted to, I could just start all of these slots. I'll show you what I mean. And then if you gotta adjust it just a little tiny bit either way, just use that saw, dig it in, and give it a little tweak. And it'll get right on that line. You get the hang of it. If you do decide to do it this way, do it a couple of times, and you know, you'll know the little ins and outs, and you can even make your own little ins and outs. But so far, this has worked pretty well for me. So I'll do this slot. So what I can do is just cut about halfway through, all the way up and down the neck, and then I have the freedom without the block to bring those slots down to where they should be. You know, like I said, you don't want them too deep, but they have to be deep enough to hold the tang of the fret. Otherwise, you're going to have problems seating the frets, which I do different than most folks online too. You see people, you know, most people hammer the frets in. I don't. I have this little tool that I made that I chuck up in my drill press and then get everything all cushioned up and then just press them in with the drill press. Just put one in there. I like to use a tiny bit of wood glue, and you just press them right in, no problem. And then you can go ahead and dress the sides. I dress the sides initially with a belt sander, and then I'll even put the angle on the ends of the frets with the belt sander. And then I have another tool here. This is my angle file. It's set at, I think it's 30 degrees, and then you just put this on there and that'll cut that little slope at the end of the fret. And then I'm getting way off base here, but one more thing about the frets and dressing them is, well, since this video is not going anywhere, so this is the way I dress the end of the frets. Fret file. When you're building regular guitars, which I used to do, you have to, there's a thing with the regular guitars, the fretboards are curved, so they act a little bit different than what we're doing on the CBGs. So with this, on a regular guitar, what that's meant to do is once you level the frets, because you always need to level the frets on a curved fretboard because of the way the frets go in. And then you just, once you level the fretboard, you have flat spots, and then you take this little file here, it's got a little dish in there, that's for small frets, that's for jumbo frets. So I usually use just a small fret size. And then one or two passes down that angle, and the frets are nice and smooth, ready for some steel wool to polish them up. So I cut that one slot, not quite as deep as it needs to be. So what I can do is I can do that all the way up and down, and then, like I said, get rid of all the other stuff. And then just, because my line is already established, just go in there and finish cutting the depth. It works every time. And you can hear when that depth stop is hit, it'll actually stop sawing, just like that. So that's about it for this one. Like I said, this is my first one, so I'm going to take a look at this myself and maybe figure out how to edit it and get some better close-ups. You know, these iPhones can only do so much, so I really love CBGs. I like building them, and I finally get to share some of my experiences with you. So, thanks for watching. Adios.